In the words of Lisa Rinna, that's showbiz, baby. All right. This is Troy J Robertson back with an all-new Real Housewives of Beverly Hills recap after last night's episode 14. And let me just tell you, okay, a lot happened last night. Lisa Vanderpump has finally finished her kitchen. Camille films with Lisa Vanderpump at her house. The ladies talk about the camping trip. We've got more fitness. They're running around, Kyle's mansion. TEDDI gets a haircut. Kyle and TEDDI film together again. Groundbreaking, alert the media. TEDDI and Kyle are filming together. I do appreciate their friendship though. I appreciate it, if you will. I think it's a very genuine, organic friendship. So, without any further ado, let's get into this week's content over Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. As always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to FabFitFun's channel. Let's get into it, shall we? This week's It's a Look. Oh, wow. This week's It's a Look, I awarded this when the look wasn't even finished yet. I don't think that this is gonna come as a surprise to anyone out there. This week's It's a Look, drum roll please, is going home to Painkiller, Erika Jayne. Her body was like a python and that hair was ticking like a time bomb. Her hair, when it got to her hair and makeup area and you just saw this full glam finish, they're finishing her hair and she couldn't have said it better than anyone else. She was giving us macrame realness on the top. There was probably 10 to 15 pounds of hair on her head at the minimum. It was everything. I awarded this to her before she even had a single Erika Jayne look on. I gave this to her the moment I saw her in that mirror and she had just a white robe getting ready. The look wasn't even finished and she's this week's It's a Look. So congratulations to Erika Jayne. This week's quote of the night goes to, I decided to switch it up. Even though Lisa Rinna had a lot of good one-liners tonight, I've been giving her quote of the night a couple of times, I think. So this week it's gonna be going to Kyle and it's in the scene when she is talking with TEDDI. And they're getting their pedicures and they're talking about Camille's wedding itinerary. It starts off with TEDDI saying to Kyle, and it's talking about the itinerary for the trip and all the things that they're doing on the trip. TEDDI lets Kyle know, we have to wear a bathing suit. Kyle isn't having it, and so she responds by saying, I'm not wearing a bathing suit. No one's making me wear a bathing suit. I'm not ready to wear a bathing suit. TEDDI then lets Kyle know that the email itinerary says we have to wear a bathing suit. To which Kyle replies with, I'm tired of this abuse. And listen, I have been there with you. When somebody lets me know what I need to be wearing, or if they're giving me this, sort of ensemble that we're supposed to be suggested to wear. Listen, sometimes your body's just not ready to meet a swimsuit. Sometimes you're just not ready to go full-blown skin. So Kyle has always made a lot of jokes about her body and just not wanting to stand next to certain cast members and things like that. So I just thought this was another funny moment of Kyle's. I'm sick of this abuse. Let's get into Troy's titillating topics. Up first, we have the lady sitter, Justin Sylvester, making a cameo appearance in the beginning of the episode, interviewing Erika Jayne before her performance at the Globe Theater in Los Angeles. And I just would like to say that, Justin, if you're out there, my name is Troy, and I'm gonna be over here waiting for you and for the moment that you realize that we are meant to be together. Mariah Carey style, okay? So, this had to be a topic this week, and my only downfall with this is that he wasn't on the episode long enough. Topic number 2 is Kyle straddling Mauricio on the couch between PK and Edwin. There have probably been plenty of people who have been enthused and inspired to do a straddle on their husband or sig other after an Erika Jayne concert. So the housewives are not off limits for this type of behavior. And number 3, Lisa Rinna coming into the backstage area after Erika Jayne's show with that horsehair ponytail looking like a Viking woman. That was giving me Xena the Warrior Princess ponytail vibes. Let's get into this week's recap. One of the scenes that I want to discuss is with Keddy. They should be called Keddy. They're together all the time. Kyle and TEDDI are now officially Keddy. Kyle, TEDDI, and Lisa Rinna working out at the house. They start talking about Camille's wedding and whether or not Camille invited Lisa Vanderpump, if Lisa Vanderpump's gonna show up, and all of this stuff. And, you know, then TEDDI kind of gets into it like, you know, Camille called me a know-it-all on the camping trip, but she felt the need to still invite me to the wedding. And I would just like to like give a spoiler alert to everyone out there. I just want to like kind of like pull the curtain down, put the mirror up. The reason that Camille invited her is because if she didn't invite her and all of the ladies, then it wouldn't be able to be covered as much by Bravo on this special. Like, there's a reason why certain people go to certain people's things and events and weddings, and it's because you kind of have to. So even if Camille really doesn't like TEDDI, she's kind of obligated to invite her if she wants as much of her life shown this season on the show. So yes, it might seem weird to TEDDI that she was invited, but this is all behind the scenes, if you will. Like, she has to be invited, essentially. Erika Jayne performing in LA at the Globe Theater. This is iconic. The performance was iconic, and this was literally just everything. And the venue was packed. The ladies were supporting. They were singing along to the words. I love when I see like the ladies supporting each other, and I love when they're supporting Erika and they're, you know, like mouthing the words or singing the words. They literally know all of her songs. The performance was so off the charts that Erika Jayne's sound system and music and hotness of the backup dancers blew the speakers at the Globe Theater, and I thought that she did a really, really good job of recovering. I don't know what I would do in a situation like this, and it's just like Lisa Rinna said, that's showbiz, baby. There's no business like show business, and how you can come back after something like that. And, you know, even just the ability of her dancers to just know the counts enough to when the sound goes out, like that just really shows like the professionalism and how trained they are to just be able to know in their heads, muscle memory, count in their heads. They weren't off a beat, even though there wasn't a beat to be on to. So kudos to her and her team. I thought they did a really good recovery, and the show was monumental. Camille heads over to Lisa Vanderpump's house for a little bit of tea. They start discussing the wedding, and you know, Camille is basically saying to Lisa Vanderpump, we have a long history. Lisa Vanderpump is agreeing. You know, we go way back. We've always had a good rapport with one another. We also see an interview though with Camille when she says, you know, I would have really liked it if Lisa Vanderpump let me know that she wasn't gonna come to my shower. But you have to kind of pick and choose your battles. She's like, I would rather keep the peace. There's enough dissension. I don't need to pile on to this with Lisa Vanderpump. But there is a way of not piling on and keeping the peace and still expressing your feelings. Like, I felt like in this scene, there were a lot of times where Camille was letting Lisa Vanderpump get away with a lot just due to circumstances. Just because things are going on in your life does not negate your ability to be able to be a good friend to people, and Camille was not involved in any of that. I feel like Lisa Vanderpump is holding her guilty by association because she's still filming with the other girls, even though Camille wasn't as involved as everyone else in this. Camille lets Lisa know, I've invited all of the ladies. I know that there's issues, but I want you to be there. So, will you come? Cut to commercial. Ugh, blah. We come back for the commercial. Lisa Vanderpump says, you know, I care about you. We have a history. I care about you a lot, but I just cannot be there. And I would just like to say, if I invited a handful of my friends to a wedding and there was some dissension in the group and one friend chose not to come, there would be an issue. I would have major issue with this because a wedding is only gonna happen once, hopefully, but this particular wedding isn't going to happen again. And if we have been friends forever, if they've known each other longer than when they started in 2010 with filming Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, at the end of the day, they've known each other a decade. And for Lisa not to show up and support, I get it might be a lot. I get there might be an issue with something. And I also get that it's a destination wedding, but I don't know. I would have a very big problem if someone didn't come to my wedding just because they had an issue with a group of people. I don't think that that's a good excuse. I'm gonna get backlash for this, I know that, but I don't think that that's fair. But what do you all think? Do you think that Lisa has a really good reason for not going to Camille's wedding, or do you think that she should be a good friend to Camille and go and support her on her, her wedding day? Camille is getting bolder and bolder by the episode, and so during filming with Lisa, I personally felt that Camille was letting Lisa Vanderpump get away with a lot, like I've already said. I don't feel like she was holding her accountable for anything. There is a way to express your feelings without hurting someone else's feelings. But you have to be able to, as my therapist says, you have to honor your feelings and your emotions. And so if Camille feels like Lisa Vanderpump has been a distant friend or not supportive during this wedding marriage experience, then you can say that to her without piling on to the rest of the drama. We have these moments where Camille is letting Lisa Vanderpump get away with things and she's not expressing how she really feels, but then weeks or a month later during filming of her interviews, you obviously have producers baiting her and asking her these questions, and she's telling her real feelings. And I feel like this is where Kyle has a lot of substance with Camille being a people pleaser. And if Camille really felt even 25% of the way that she felt in her expressions during her interview looks, she didn't display any of that to Lisa Vanderpump. And I did not think that this looked good for Camille. I adore Camille. I think she brings a great dynamic to the group. I've said that before. But Camille is going to have to do a lot of damage control after this season. She's going to have to do like season 1 damage control almost. You've seen a very big backtrack. You're seeing a lot of contradiction between how she's filming and how she's filming during an interview. So this just makes me nervous. You know, she's saying during the interviews, maybe I'm stronger than Lisa. Maybe I can stand up and face these things. And Lisa Vanderpump just wants to run away. And this isn't the Lisa Vanderpump that I know. What is she running from? If you know, stand in your truth kind of, but she wasn't saying it like that. She was saying it a little bit more pernicious, if you will. So again, I love Camille, but I want you guys all to tell me what you think. Do you think that this is just in the moment Camille being fair to Lisa Vanderpump and then expressing how she really feels later when people ask? Or do you think that this was a little contradictory? Let me know what you think about this entire situation down below in the comments. The episode is kind of ending and Camille is talking about like, you've got this huge, long, major friendship with Kyle and why are you gonna throw that away? And Lisa Vanderpump's like, listen, we had a friendship, we don't anymore. Until she changes her stance in this entire story and situation, we're not going to have a relationship or she's not going to be my friend. We cut to an interview with Lisa Vanderpump saying, I think that Kyle enjoyed throwing me under the bus too much. She paraphrased a lot of the things that Kyle said, which as humans we all do. Nobody's perfect, but I do have to agree a little bit with Camille on this when she said, I think that Lisa Vanderpump is being a little bit of a victim in this. And Lisa Vanderpump is not a victim and she's never shown victim qualities before. I do think a little bit that it's going a little bit too far. As friends, we're all allowed to express our feelings, and I don't think that this was Kyle throwing her under the bus. I think that this was her just trying to explain to her the perspective of the situation. The episode really ends then when we cut to Lisa Vanderpump connected to a lie detector test. I don't even know. This was really good editing on the producer's part. Like, she's hooked up to a lie detector. They're gonna ask her questions. She's got John Sessa in tow with her, so we'll see what happens next week. Who knows? I think that that's all dramatics. That's it for this week's Real Housewives of Beverly Hills recap, but before we go, let's talk about this week's Rose and Thorn. This week's Rose is PK walking through the room at the end of Erika Jayne's show where the backup dancers were changing and wiping down, and I would just like to say a big thank you to you, PK. From all of us at home, watching the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, thank you for your service, for giving us this wonderful moment with Erika Jayne's backup dancers yet again. This week's Thorn, conversely, also has to do with the show, and it's when the camera showed the entire stage of Erika Jayne and then the audience, and every single human in the audience has their phone up. Now, I'm not going to say that I have never filmed something at a concert, but the entire venue was filming her. It was literally wild. I filmed a little bit of a show. You know, if I go see Gaga, I'm filming maybe her coming out, my one favorite song, and then an emotional song, and then I'm putting it down. And maybe this was just like me being so anti about a moment, but like when you're at a show, just live in the moment, people. Like, enjoy the moment of the show. And that is the biggest thing that I really try to do. I'll do a really quick clip and then I'm putting my phone down. I don't want to remember it later. I want to experience it now with my own eyes and my vivid memory. I don't need to watch it through a screen to then watch it 3 months later. So that is what my Thorn is this week, just living more in the moment. That's it for this week. Again, this is Troy J Robertson. Thank you so much for tuning in every single week. I will see you all back here next week on FabFitFun's YouTube channel. Again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that button, ring that bell. You can ring my bell. Ring my bell, ding dong. I will see you all back next week. Thank you so much. Over and out. Bye.